Welcome in to today's daily sports take. As you can see, I have a different setup today. I'm really just having fun, really kind of going crazy, but having fun, trying to figure out different ideas and things. So we're gonna try to use this TV today in the background better than I did yesterday. But if you missed yesterday's video, I recapped the draft in the AFC West. So be sure to check out that video. I've also gone over the AFC North and the AFC East. So today we're wrapping up the AFC South. We're wrapping up with the AFC South. We'll move to the NFC tomorrow. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then leave a like on this video if you enjoy the content I'm putting out. So the NFL draft happened last week, so AFC draft recap. We'll start with the division winners because we've always started with the division winners, the Houston Texans. Now, Bill O'Brien has had one of the worst off seasons, or really last calendar year, as a general manager / coach. Bill O'Brien, the general manager, has not been helping out Bill O'Brien, the coach. They trade DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick. They trade away one of their best offensive linemen last season. And now the Texans don't have a first-rounder this season because of other deals they've made as well. So with their first pick in the second round, they select defensive tackle Ross Blacklock. Now, I actually like that fit for them. This is a team that's always focused on building the defensive line. And after trading away Jadeveon Clowney and then J.J. Watt, who's always hurt now, I think getting Ross Blacklock, who comes in immediately and helps out in the run game and can do a little bit in the passing game as well, I think he makes an immediate impact for them. So Ross Blacklock out of TCU was a great pick. They only had 5 draft picks in this draft. I think they added some depth at the tackle position and on defense as well. They go out and get one wide receiver. So I like what the Texans did in this draft, but I'm just not sold that it's a great draft for them. We'll see how it plays out, but they didn't go ahead and address DeAndre Hopkins leaving. They didn't go get him somebody else. Now you're relying on Will Fuller to be your best receiver, and he's never healthy. He's never played more than 8 games in a season. So if you're relying on Will Fuller, who is talented, to be your #1 receiver, there's a problem there. So maybe they'll trade for somebody, but they didn't address it in the deepest wide receiver draft class in recent memory. So a little disappointed in what the Texans did in the draft. Now, my next team also made the playoffs last year, the Tennessee Titans. It's another team, not too many draft picks this year, 6 draft picks, but I do like what they addressed. So they addressed the offensive line with Isaiah Wilson because this is a run-heavy team. They had the rushing leader last year in Derrick Henry. You also get Ryan Tannehill some extra protection in the passing game because he's a quarterback that needs that time to throw and at least be able to get out of the pocket and make plays with his feet. They also select a cornerback in the second round, Christian Fulton at 61 overall. Now, I figured Fulton would go somewhere late in the first round, maybe early in the second, so he fell all the way down to them at 61. So that's a great steal for them to help shore up the secondary. They also add some depth at other positions as well. They get another running back to pair with Derrick Henry, another big pounding running back. So it's a guy that plays a similar style in case Derrick Henry isn't re-signed next year or whatever happens there. But I like the moves the Tennessee Titans made. Mike Vrabel and the general managing staff are doing a great job down there in Tennessee trying to build a perennial playoff team. Now, next up, I have the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are one of the most interesting teams coming into 2020. They're a team that, while they had Andrew Luck, who was one of the most talented quarterbacks coming out of a draft ever and carrying this team for 5 years, finally realized after seeing him taking a beating and a bruising nonstop for 6 straight years, have built a Super Bowl roster at this time. So they signed Phillip Rivers this offseason because, remember, Luck retired last offseason and Jacoby Brissett wasn't good enough to lead this team to the promised land. So they signed Phillip Rivers on a 1-year, $25 million deal. They don't have a first-round draft pick because they traded it to the San Francisco 49ers for DeForest Buckner. So I think because that was the 13th overall pick, he's better, at least right now, than Javon Kinlaw, who they could have gotten there at the same position. So I like that trade for them. Then in the second round, they made some good moves here. They go out and get a guy they've been targeting for months in wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. from USC. I like him. If you've seen him on tape, he is electric. He's a big playmaking wide receiver, and he's really going to fit nicely with Phillip Rivers and T.Y. Hilton in that passing game. Then they go out and get another player that Chris Ballard has said he has been targeting for really this entire year, Jonathan Taylor, with the 41st overall pick in the second round. Taylor led the Big Ten in rushing the last 3 seasons, so he does have a lot of wear and tear already, but you pair him in that backfield, and they already have a strong backfield. I think he's going to be really good for the Indianapolis Colts. That was a great pick there in the second round. They also get their quarterback of the future in Jacob Eason out of Washington. He's 6'6", 240 pounds. He slipped a little bit. Getting him in the 4th round was a steal for the Indianapolis Colts, so I do like that move. He's going to learn a lot from Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett if they don't trade Jacoby Brissett, and then eventually become the franchise quarterback for the Colts. So don't mind my dog Sydney in the background barking. She heard somebody outside and now she's going ballistic, but the video must go on. I don't feel like stopping and restarting, so we're going to continue with the team that took last place in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they had 2 first-round picks this year. They used it to replace 3 players that they've traded away over the last year. They traded away Jalen Ramsey, they traded away A.J. Bouye at cornerback, and they also traded away Calais Campbell. So with the 9th overall pick, they select possibly the best cornerback in this draft class, if not the second best, C.J. Henderson out of Florida. Now, I'm not sure he's as long or as strong as Jalen Ramsey or A.J. Bouye, but I do think that he comes into this league and is cornerback number 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars on day number 1. He's going to make an immediate impact. He can play man coverage. He'll have his own island. They'll have Henderson Island down in Jacksonville, and I think he'll be great for them. Then with the 20th pick in the first round, they go ahead and select K'Lavon Chaisson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Another guy who fell in the draft a little bit. I projected he would go somewhere to Dallas at 17 or maybe the Falcons at 16, but players and teams started slipping in different directions, and he fell all the way to 20, right into the lap of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So now they get an edge rusher to replace Calais Campbell, and they got C.J. Henderson. Now, some will knock them for trading great players in order to draft their replacements, but when you think about it from a business standpoint, they were going to have to pay those players a lot of money. Now they can get similar production and similar type players on a rookie contract. So I do like those draft picks for them as well. They get a quarterback out of Hawaii later in the 5th round, so I do like the moves that they made in the draft. We'll see how it plays out. They had a decent amount of draft picks, so we'll see how it plays out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there you have it. There's my AFC South draft recap. Let me know what you thought down below in the comment section. And then as always, I'd love it if you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. So I'm done with the AFC now. Tomorrow we'll start with the NFC. Haven't decided which division yet. Probably the NFC East. Spoiler alert. Now that I figured it out as I'm talking. And that means I'm blabbing. So hey, I'm Jordan Spurgeon, Daily Sports Takes right here on YouTube. Have a wonderful day, everybody.